Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today in this video, we will be discussing about world population. It is a population that drives the economy and the society. So today, we will try to understand the important numbers and trends about our population. Let's dive into it. Any guesses? How much of world population do we have in 2023? 8 billion. We have over 8 billion people living on this planet Earth. Let's look at the historical data and see how it all started. Here on this chart, we have plotted years on x-axis starting from 5000 BC all the way till 2023, and on the y-axis we have plotted population in billions. We hit the 8 billion mark in 2022, somewhere around November. The highlight of this chart is the curve. As you can see, our population have grown exponentially in the last 3-4 centuries. If we dig into the data, we realize 1700 is the period when the population really started to grow, and this is the same time period when the Industrial Revolution was taking place. Also, 1900 is the time period when we had recorded our highest ever growth rates. In 1804, we were at 1 billion, and we doubled ourselves to 2 billion by 1930. The difference is 126 years. So we took 126 years to add a billion people to our population. Then from 2 billion in 1930, we doubled ourselves to 4 billion by 1974. That's a difference of 44 years. This time, we only took 44 years to double ourselves. And for like to like comparison, we took on average 22 years to add a billion to our population. Now from 4 billion in 1974, we doubled ourselves to 8 billion by 2022, and it took 48 years. If we work out the averages, we took only 12 years to add a billion to our population this time. So from 126 years to 22 years to now 12 years to add a billion people. That has been some tremendous growth. Now that we know about the absolute numbers, let's also take a look at the growth rates. On the same chart, this time we have plotted the growth rates. We can see the real action took place after the 17th century, from 1700s, and continued till 1964. Let's zoom into this chart in the last 3-4 centuries. We can see after 1900 we have been exponentially growing, and we hit the peak of 2.24% in 1964. It is the highest ever growth rate in the history of our world population. And after that, we have been continuously declining, and now we have come to the growth rate of 0.88% in 2023. If we talk about the future, the UN have forecasted that in the next 10-20 years, the population would continue to grow in the range of 0.9% to 0.7%, and it will continue in the downward trend. Now let's put the population numbers on the world map and understand the distribution of our population. Let's first look at it at the continent level. Let's start from the west. North America contributes 5% of the population. South America contributes 8% of the population. On the bottom left, we have this note. It says South America includes Latin America and the Caribbean. So the Caribbean islands and the Mexico is included in South America, and it makes the total to 8%. Then we have Europe, which contributes 9% of the population, Africa 18%, and Asia 59%, the highest among all the continents. For Asia, the note says it includes Eastern Asia, which is like China, Japan. Western Asia is the Middle East. Central Asia includes Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, etc. Southern Asia include Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, etc. And Southeastern Asia include Vietnam, Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, etc. Further, Australia contributes 1% of the population, and Antarctica 0%. The key takeaway here is Asia and Africa cumulatively contribute 77% of the world population, and these two continents together hold about 50% of the total land area of the world. Now let's also look at the distribution at country level. Here we have this world map color coded on the basis of population. On this map, most of the countries are in light blue. Then we have some dark blue and light green. And in the east, we have two countries in brown. When we refer the scale, light blue is on the extreme left. The zero point 0.2 on the scale simply means 200 million. And on the extreme right, we have brown, indicating 1.4 billion. As we can see, our population is either on the left or the right spectrum of the scale, and there is no distribution in the middle segments. Here on the map, I have mentioned only those countries that have a population of 100 million or more. Turns out there are only 15 such countries, rest all the other countries are below 100 million. For perspective, India is rank 1 with 1.4 billion, China is rank 2 with 1.4 billion, USA is rank 3 with 340 million, which is approx one fourth of India or China, and that's a huge difference. After USA, there are 4 countries in 200 to 300 million range and 8 countries in 100 to 200 million range. All these totals to 15 countries that have a population of more than 100 million. And continent wise, they are distributed as 3 in America, 4 in Africa, 7 in Asia, and 1 in Europe, which is Russia. Among these, China, Japan, and Russia have witnessed negative growth in the last year, which is from 2022 to 2023. If we talk about Japan, Japan have witnessed a decline of negative 0.5%. The case with Japan is it has been declining every year since 2010. In its population, it has more old people than young people. The median age works out to be around 50 years and the fertility rate is around 1.3 births per woman, which is not enough to sustain the current population level and therefore the population is declining. Then we have India. India have added the highest number of people in the world in the last year, which is 11.45 million people, and it has grown at a rate of 0.8%. In Africa, Democratic Republic of Congo, Ethiopia, and Nigeria have witnessed a high growth rate of 2.4% and above. These three countries cumulatively added 11.67 million people to its population. Nigeria have added over 5 million people. Ethiopia and Democratic Republic of Congo have added over 3 million people each, adding up to 11.67 million people. In Europe, there are many countries that have seen negative growth. For example, Italy, Germany, Ukraine, Serbia, Bulgaria, Russia, etc. And there are very few countries that have seen positive growth. Among them, the highest was recorded with Poland, which have added 1.17 million people to its population. And the runner up is Romania, which have added over 200,000 people, a very distant second. In case of Poland, it has been witnessing negative to very negligible growth in the last 2 decades. However, in the last 2 years, it has shown some good momentum, resulting from the Russia Ukraine war. And Romania also has a similar story. In the West, both Brazil and USA are growing at a rate of 0.5% annually. USA's population is slowly growing older. The median age is around 40 years of age, and the fertility rate is around 1.7 births per woman. The key takeaway here is that Africa as a continent is showing some action. There are many countries in the continent which have shown the growth rate of more than 2%. Apart from the ones that I've mentioned here in this chart, there are other countries like Tanzania, Uganda, Sudan, Angola, Kenya, and many more that have seen high growth in population. For perspective, during the year, it is estimated that 70 million people were added to the world population, from which Africa added 33 million and Asia added 30 million, despite Asia having India, Indonesia, and Pakistan, the large contributors. Africa added more people because of the contribution from all its countries. In the last 70 75 years, Apart from India and China, there are few other countries that have shown some exponential growth. Let's also take a look at them. Among these countries, currently Indonesia is growing at 0.7%, Pakistan is growing at a little less than 2%, and Nigeria is growing at 2.4%. Nigeria is currently the sixth most populous country in the world and is expected to become the third most populous country before the end of the century, therefore surpassing Pakistan, Indonesia, and United States of America. Currently, USA is at rank 3, Indonesia at rank 4, Pakistan at rank 5, and Nigeria at rank 6. Let's also discuss about the fertility rates. If you take a list of top 30 countries by fertility rate, then 29 out of those 30 countries are from Africa. Niger tops the list with 6.7 births per woman. I have also plotted the fertility rate for some of the other countries. After Niger, the highest in the list is Chad, Somalia, and Democratic Republic of Congo at 6.1 births per woman. Reading through the data, we realize that this phenomena of high fertility rate is mostly found in the sub-Saharan region. If we look at the northern countries like Egypt, Libya, Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia, their fertility rate is in the range of 2 to 3 births per woman. However, the sub-Saharan countries witness the fertility rate in the range of 4 to 6.7 births per woman. The African population is the youngest among all the continents. The median age is working out to be around 19 years, which simply means half of the population is below 19 years of age and the other half is above 19 years. This is the same trend what we witnessed in the case of India and China in the last century. The only non-African country in the list was Afghanistan, with a fertility rate of 4.4 births per woman, and it stands at rank 15th. The key takeaway here is that Africa as a continent is rich in natural resources. Now they are also getting human resource. If they are able to convert this human resource to human capital, then Africa will have a promising future. We understood that Asia and Africa have the highest concentration of population in our world. Last century, Asia was booming with India and China. However, this century will be led by Africa, since Africa will continue to grow at a higher rate than Asia. The UN have estimated that by 2058, our population will reach 10 billion people, which is next 35 years. As we remember from our previous discussion, we were recently adding a billion people in every 12 years. However, in the coming 30 to 35 years, we would be adding a billion people in 17 and a half years. Also, our population to peak at around 10.4 billion in the decade of 2080s. Some fun bits about our population. The median age of the world population is currently at 30 years. For comparison, if we look at 1970, it was 20 years. So in the last 53 years, our population have grown older by 10 years. The life expectancy is at 73.4 years, and if we look back to 1950, it was at 46 and a half years. That in terms of life expectancy, we have been consecutively growing every year. It has been observed that throughout history, women have outlived men by 3 to 5 years. So, if the life expectancy of both the sexes is 73.4 years, then the male life expectancy would be around 70 to 71 years, and the female's life expectancy would be around 75 to 76 years. I really hope you learned something from this video. Please help us reach more people. Thank you so much for watching.